Hey, Jerry, of all the running quarterbacks that you've faced in your career, and you've faced this guy before, obviously, Jackson, what sets him, besides his great production, what sets him apart from the others?
Just his quickness, his agility. I think he's a little bit more agile than your Kyler Murray, and probably has a little bit more speed as well. So I think that's just the toughest for us. It's just his vision as a ball carrier. He's able to use all three of those kind of assets: speed, agility, and vision. So anytime you got a ball carrier who has, those three top traits, it's going to be difficult tackling them one-on-one.
Last year, this team did well. For him, 40 yards, 11 carries. It seemed, couple big takeaways that I have are, one, it looked like you were extremely disciplined, maybe more so than any time I've seen, not just you, DNs, Shaq Lawson, everybody was seemingly staying, almost holding up, not pursuing. A, and B, a lot of 10 in the box stuff that basically, at least on some occasions, you had as many as 10, it seemed, to encourage him throwing. Can you give me takes on both angles, discipline of ends and the inviting him to try to throw more than run?
Yeah, last year we had a different approach than what we're taking this year. It was a little bit more of a college base where we kind of wanted to take the ends and read that mesh point, kind of let our guys get enough time to kind of rally over. So just allowing our team speed to kind of come over to the pitch man and things like that. So Coach Frazier and them did a great job last year, just detailing our jobs and making sure that, we understood what we needed to do for every down and distance, honestly. So I think that was the big key for us, is just understanding the game plan and just knowing what you're going to get on each down and distance. And I think that's our big focal point that we're focusing on this week.
Discipline still matter, though?
Discipline, and you want to give your guys enough time to rally to the football. Anytime you're playing an option team or anything where they're basing a read off of you, you got to give your guys enough time to rally around. So I think that's why last year a lot of it was a lot more read based instead of us being the physical attack the line type of defense that we are normally.
Thank you, Jerry.
Yep. Can I take this mask off?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I didn't know if I needed to wear it.
Hey, Jerry, Martin Luther King Day is on Monday coming up. So what does that day mean to you every year when it comes?
Oh, man, it's a great day to recognize an American who wanted this country to be what it says it should be as the Constitution, exercising that every man, woman, child, it doesn't matter what color, what creed you are, we should all be treated equally. And I think that's a day that I look forward to the most out of any on the calendar, just because of everything that he stood for, everything that, he said. And just, he was all about bringing the country together. He was all about bringing humans together as one, so we can all love each other as we're supposed to be. So that's why I like that day.
Does that day mean anything different to you this year, seeing a lot of people in the NFL come together and join in on the fight to end racism in our world and our country?
Yeah, it does. It means that a lot of people are, getting educated on Dr. King's preaching, as well as, the work that he did around the country before he passed away. And anytime you have a great human that's being honored, or a great human that's being recognized like him, especially him being an American, it's great to see other people recognizing all the great things and contributions that he made to our country.
This is the first year that the NFL has really supported the movement of Black Lives Matter and playing a part in ending the social injustices we see in this country every day. What are your hopes for next season as we close out 2020 and 2021?
I just hope that we can come together a lot more as a country. Let's just stop the divisiveness that we've been having going amongst each other. I understand politics, but politics is a lot like sports. We cheer for a side, and at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, we come together, shake hands, and move forward. So hopefully we can do that and just focus on what our country is truly about. Just everyone loving, respecting one another, and none of this pointing fingers. Let's get back to having fun. Let's get back to the America that I grew up in, where, you know, people were excited about the new year, excited about sporting events, excited about going outside, having fun, and interacting with one another.
Thanks, Jerry. Appreciate it.
No problem, Maddie.
Hey, Jerry, John Warrow. Good answers, and tough to follow up those answers in that topic with just a football question. So, but I'll give it a shot. But I guess knowing that you're facing a dual threat quarterback again, and that you struggled this year against those kind of guys, you know, Patrick Mahomes really didn't have a big day, but Hilaire popped off on you. Kyler Murray and them, you know, kind of like burned you for 217 yards rushing. What confidence do you have that you guys can face a team like this and contain it?
All those lessons, you know, us playing against Patrick Mahomes, playing against Kyler Murray's, you get to learn things from those games. And that's why we're in the position that we are now. It's because we took every game as a way for us to learn, grow, and to get better. So I think for our defense, we're excited for this matchup just because we've seen some very dynamic dual threat quarterbacks. We know what we're going to get from Lamar, and the guys are here just, you know, on top of the tape, on top of the film, inside of, you know, our makeshift meeting rooms. You see the commitment, you see everybody buying in. So when you got all 11, 22 of us defensive players buying in, knowing what we're going to get, you know, it's very scary, but it also makes it a lot fun for playing football for us on Saturday.
And just my last thing, having seen Lamar Jackson up close last December, how beneficial is that to know, rather than, I mean, it's difficult to judge his speed on tape, but when you see what he can do up close, how much more beneficial is that?
Man, we know he's fast just because you see his highlights. I mean, they're all across the NFL. He won the MVP, so we know it's going to take all 11 guys flying around to the football. That's why we are big on getting off blocks, using our hands, trying to figure out ways to just rally. You need bodies. Whenever you got somebody who's that dynamic, you know, you need bodies, you need population to just keep him contained, try to contain him as much as possible. He's like a bolt of electricity. You know, you don't want to let that out.
And I'm sorry, I know Ashley's next, but I know I said last question, but the other one I actually had just popped into my head. When you watch tape of that Tennessee game and see how the Titans kept him bottled up for, I don't know, a quarter and a half, and then he goes off and scores on, you know, just finds that seam. What kind of a reminder does that give you guys that you can't take it, you know, you cannot take one play off given, you know, what this guy can do?
Yeah, I mean, it's important. We talked about it just in our D-line text thread about, you know, conditioning. We said, you know, everybody be tuned in this week. We're selling out every play. And the minute you see your buddy tired or breathing hard, get your butt on that field, just because we need fresh bodies. You need people who need to have fresh legs chasing this guy. I mean, he's very dynamic. And, you know, with just a small little hole, he can go and take it, you know, 50, 60 yards. So for us, it's just about staying fresh up front and just keep throwing bodies at him and just trying to populate that football.
Thanks, Jerry.
Yep.
Hey, Jerry, you got me?
Yes, I got you.
Hey, sorry, I have no voice right now, so I'll be screaming this question.
Okay.
Going back to kind of what Maddie said, speaking about the NFL supporting Black Lives Matter, I do want to ask you about that because my question is, do you really feel like the NFL is supporting Black Lives Matter, or do you feel like the NFL is just allowing people of color to now express themselves? Because to me, support and allowing yourself to just speak on it and not say anything is one thing. And then the second part of that, and I'm also doing a MLK piece about this, so that's why I'm asking you this. Do you also feel like racial injustice will actually, let's be realistic, ever end in this world? And do you feel the NFL will actually start doing things not to support and allowing players to just speak, but to actually make moves to end social injustice, not donations to the United Negro Fund or allowing whatever to happen, but actual real moves to stop it? Because it seems like this is only brought up when a Black person is shot down or arrested or something ridiculous happens, and then it starts to die down. As you can see, it's dying down. It doesn't come back up until it happens again.
Yeah. All right, so I'll take the first part. I feel like personally the NFL has done a lot better job allowing us to be a part of, to speak on the Black Lives Matter movement, just because I've been in the league since 2010, back when guys didn't have a voice, back when the only people who could tell the story was the media. And I've watched some guys lose their careers just simply because they didn't have a voice. Now, I'm in the NFL where you can speak. You can talk about not just football things, but you can talk about what's going on with society. You can talk about, how they're rushing the Capitol, how they stood on George Floyd's neck up in Minnesota, and they're allowing you to express that. We have a social justice team, a unit here with the Buffalo Bills. When I was with the Colts, that was never talked about, never even brought up. It was just more so play football. And so I feel like personally, just because I've been in the NFL for 11 years, I feel like that they are allowing us to speak about social injustice, talk about racial inequalities, not only from a collective standpoint where you can sit here and speak about it on camera, talk about it amongst your friends in the league, but like the Buffalo Bills, they're allowing us to get our hands on in the community and work with people, and as well as whatever foundations you bring to them, they are backing it and are finding financial ways to support it, whether it be us or whether it be, all the guys on our team took a percentage out of our check to help, the kids in Buffalo get internet this year. So I think this is a conversation that needs to be brought up more. In the past, we weren't allowed to talk about it. It was more so kind of like how my parents told me when they were in work, we're here to work and that's it. So I think the NFL has grown to the point that they're allowing us to speak about it no matter where we're at. I think that's huge for us. Do I feel like the injustice will ever stop? I feel like that's really, really hard to say, just because racial injustice has been going on longer than any of us who is on this Zoom chat right now has been alive. So it's really hard to say that one thing will put a stop or an end to it. But I think the more that we talk about it, the more that we bring it to the forefront, and it's not, well, let's brush it off and let's wait. No, I think for a lot of people in our country, they need to be able to not only have sensitivity training, but to understand that, there's a lot more than just you in your bubble. And so the more that we can get people to talk about their life experiences, you want to hear about my life experiences, your life experience, anybody who doesn't look like you, that I think that's a great opportunity for you to really grow, learn, and improve yourself. And I think in America, we have the best opportunity to do that just because our country is so diverse.
And I just have one more question. But you saying that, is that not at the same time disheartening to say that everybody on this call, regardless of the age, has never happened, that injustice has not stopped? Is that almost like at the same time you say we've grown, well, we're actually not nowhere near probably it actually ending? Is it sad at all to say that, to know that you have children that that are boys?
Yeah. It certainly is disheartening. Have we grown from, back in the Southern days where my grandparents are? Yeah. But at the same point in time, is it a slow growth? Yeah. But, this is what our country was founded on. So I feel like at some point we have to shake those leaves, ruffle some feathers, and you got to talk about it. As much as people don't want to, it might seem uncomfortable. That's the only way we're going to be able to learn and grow from one another, is by, dialogue. And the more that we're able to do that, not necessarily sports figures, but it has to be everyone. We all got to get out there, get out in our community, get uncomfortable, and have that dialogue, because I think that it's important, not only just for your life, but just for human growth.
Thank you. I appreciate your answers.
No problem, Ashley.
El Capitan, how's it going? Mookie Harkins, Waffle Sports 1080, man.
Doing well, Mook. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good, man. And just to follow up a little bit on what Ashley was chiming in on. I mean, Capitol Hill. I mean, what was your thoughts, to see that happen, in our federal government?
Oh man, I was honestly shocked. Just hearing that someone had raided our nation's capital. Personally, I thought that the Iranis had followed through on their threat. So I honestly had to get into the news and see what was going on. And then watching the news and seeing everything, it was just disheartening, man. We look like a third world country where you see, the natives from other country are upset at some kind of political power, and what do? They rush the Capitol. And for it to happen in that manner, and for there really to be no security for the people who are inside of that building, those are just lawmakers inside of that building. And for them to kind of be put in that situation is very sad, and just, it's not something that I ever would have expected that I would have saw in my lifeline, honestly, or in my lifetime, honestly.
Right. Same way here. Just going into football, man, how important is it to be in tune with detail plan at a high level? And, when the Ravens start to expand that formation, how will you guys win at the line of scrimmage?
Oh, man, details in this point of the game is very important. I mean, I think this is probably the most essential thing, just because you can get so much information just from film study and the details and notes that the coaches are telling you throughout the week. So I think that's probably the most important thing to kind of really focus on, just because that allows not only us as a defense, but anybody to play at a very high level. And for us this week, when you're dealing with a dynamic offense like Lamar Jackson, somebody who, who can go from 0 to 60 and score that fast, the details are big, just because you got to figure out, you got to just keep him contained. You got to stick with the game plan that we have, keeping him contained, and then just rallying to the football. We talk about that, rallying to the ball and putting bodies on him early, let him know that it's going to be a physical 4-quarter ball game. We don't want to do anything cheap, but it's football. So you definitely want to, if there's anybody running the football, you want to put bodies on them and just let them know it's physical. And we're going to be hitting you every time you run that ball.
Absolutely, man. Good luck this week, Jerry.
Luke, appreciate it.
Hi, Jerry. Matt Fairburn here.
Hey, Matt.
The Lamar Jackson gets, a lot of the attention. He's a unique guy to try to stop, but they also have, kind of a unique scheme to try to stop. You don't see option football too much in the NFL, at least the way that they run it. What's that like in a week when it's such a departure from the normal schemes that you see week to week?
Oh, man, it's a little different, just because every bit of football knowledge that you have as far as reading your keys and, that having that discipline, that intro to D-line play, you kind of got to throw that out of the window when you're dealing with Greg Roman and his offensive style, just because they'll take your keys and things like that you're supposed to really focus on, and they'll use it against you, whether it could be an offensive lineman pulling one way and they're sending an running back, or Lamar has the option to read and he's pulling the ball and he's running it the complete opposite way. So, I mean, this game, it's like playing a option team. So you got to really be disciplined. Your eyes are probably the biggest thing, is to kind of have that great eye discipline, so you're not being fooled by all the misdirection before snap and after snap as well.
I've read somewhere, and you can correct me if this is wrong, but that Gary Patterson at TCU used to almost start with the option when he was, installing defense. Is that true? And does this bring you back, I guess, to your college days at all, and what he used to tell you?
That is very, very true, man. We would start, if we played Air Force in October, we're working on them probably back in training camp. So, yeah, he definitely put a big emphasis on option teams like that. And I was joking with some of the guys, especially Josh being from the Mountain West Conference, man. This kind of feels a little bit like a college game, given all the misdirection, just because you don't see that in the NFL with the pre-snap misdirection, the after the snap misdirection, and the quarterback having the option to pull the ball and run. So, yeah, it feels a little bit like college, which I guess playing in the Mountain West for me has its upsides.
Yeah. And last one real quick. I wanted to get your take, I guess, on how Eric Washington's system of teaching you guys has started to take hold. I know getting used to a new position coach in a year like this had to have been a little bit weird, but how have you guys, maybe you and Mario, the veterans, been able to spearhead, him getting comfortable and everybody getting comfortable with him?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a really interesting year, just because the first time we met Coach Washington was over Zoom back in April. But, I think the way he approaches practice, having his drills, every drill that he puts together has a purpose, and it pertains to the game. It pertains to your skill set. I think that's the greatest thing that we could have, because I tell a lot of the young guys who've been with me here in Buffalo or have came over, like, this is probably the best thing. He's probably the best person we can have on our side as a defensive lineman, someone who understands our position and has drills for us. So that way we're not just out here, like he says, just playing recess, running around, having fun. We're working on our tools. We're working on our hands. We're striking. We're getting our games patted down and ironed out too. So that way, when we hit the field running, you know, it's second nature. And that's the one thing that I probably admire the most is just how we come here to work every day. Like I've been on a bunch of teams throughout my time playing football, but his attention to detail and how he makes everything important, I think that's the biggest plus side for us. And I see a lot of our young guys feeding off that knowledge and just growing.
Awesome. Thank you, Jerry.
Yep.